examination, it's all bullshit, because that act, I said to him, this act that I'm quoting is still on the statute. It's still in full cause and effect. It's on the government website. So where's he going to go from that? Well, the only thing he can use at that point is force.
Yep.
So what subsequently happened was I was arrested in court and taken down to the cells, the dungeons under the magistrate's court, and then brought up at the end of the day to be in the handcuff to a security guard. I'm in the dock behind the bulletproof glass. I'm not able to represent myself properly.
Mm.
You know, because I don't know if you've been in a court, but the dock is, particularly in the Crown Court or the Magistrate's Court, is another box in the court, which is surrounded by bulletproof glass, and you have a tiny gap through which to speak.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nonsense, you know. Where is the presumption that you are innocent until proven guilty? If I'm innocent, why the fuck am I in a dock?
Exactly.
So, you know, but at that point, I'm quite, you know, one of the things I understand is that to going to court, you don't make statements, you ask questions all the time.
Yeah, because the act of asking questions, then it's the implied contract that the person asking questions has the authority. Is that correct?
Well, you've got, the one who asks questions is the one who has the authority. It's as simple as that.
Mm.
You know, am I obliged to answer that question, Your Honour? Here's another one, logical fallacy that I have used to the past with to some effect. Was we're talking about rhetorical devices here. So one rhetorical device I used was it was the same court, different issue, and we got in there, and I said to the judge before we get, so I said, we're coming here, we're reserving all our rights. Do you want us to come in? He said, yeah, come in. So we stood on the floor, and this all happened within the space of 2 minutes.
Right.
I said, before we go anywhere, I'd like to ask a few questions. I said, you know, I'm not used to this situation. I've been in one of these places before. Can you explain a little bit about what's going on? Mm. He says, yeah, of course. I said, right, first of all, are we entitled to a fair hearing today? He said, yes, of course you're entitled to a fair hearing. I said, good, that's very good. Would I receive a fair hearing if there was a conflict of interest? He said, no, of course not. No, you wouldn't. I said, right, okay, just tell me out here then. Who is this guy over here? Well, he's the barrister representing the Crown Prosecution Service. Mm. All right, he's representing the Crown Prosecution Service. Okay, so who does he work for? Well, he works for the Crown. I said, okay, Your Honour. You said no. In fact, I said, okay, sir, because I don't mind calling people sir, but I'm not really. It depends on my mood, but some of these guys, I don't really want to call them Your Honour unless I'm being sarcastic. Mm. Which of course is another rhetorical device, you see. So I have to admit, I use rhetorical devices and occasionally use fallacies when I'm trying to win a point. But particularly in an arena like court, I think it's acceptable. But
it can be.
It's a two-edged sword.
Exactly.
So then I said to him, so I've established that A, we're entitled to a fair hearing, and that B, I wouldn't get a fair hearing if there's a conflict of interest. The guy over there represents the interests of the Crown. So I said to the judge, right, sir, you said if there's a conflict of interest, we wouldn't get a fair hearing. And then I paused, and then I said, sir, whose interests are you representing today? Mm. And do you know what happened?
What?
He got up and he legged it out of the court. I'd never seen anyone move so fast in my life. He was out of his chair and he was out of the back door. He tripped on the way out. Now this was just like 2 minutes of quite intense rhetorical jousting.
Yeah.
But look at the effect that the words had on him.
Exactly.
I mean, okay, it wasn't just the words that we had, it was our actions. You know, first of all, we came in and we refused to get into the dock. Mm. Okay?
You engaged them in questions first.
Yeah. So at that point, I said, right, if he's deserted you see, one of the magistrates' court rules, remember this goes rules. If the rules.
Needs to be 3 of them.
If there are rules, there's got to be some kind of game going on. But one of the rules is that any judge who absents himself during the course of a hearing can no longer preside in that matter. Mm. All the time, in a situation like that, you're applying critical thinking skills to what's going on. But you have to be prepared to stand your ground and put some spirit into it. And a lot of the time, you know, it's a combination of knowing all of that, being able to use the logic, being able to apply the rhetoric, but at the same time, being able to speak from a position of now, from a sense of my nowness and my complete authority, my total responsibility for my own actions. It's very powerful when you can combine all those elements together.
Yeah.
Not that I'm seeking to have power over others, but, you know, in situations where someone is trying to dominate you, you have to be able to see, first of all, through their little games, through the logical fallacies that they're using, and also you've got to be able to combat it with some of your own critical perspectives on the matter. And, you know, when you get to that point, you can have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Not that I'm into playing court games anymore. It's all a courtroom drama, and they're not there to provide us with remedies. So why would I want to go in their system?
Exactly. It's all theatre, really. It's
yeah, but it's theatre but there's so many presumptions at play. Because some of these guys sat up there on these little thrones behind this. You see, let's apply some critical thinking to the layout of the court. Why is the judge up there? Why are there all these boxes? Why is there behind the judge, why is there a coat of arms with a lion on it on the left-hand side and a unicorn in chains on the right-hand side? And then the symbols, you see, there's all this esoteric symbolism. What is the meaning of this? Why is this guy sat there like some priest in black robes? You see what I mean?
Yeah. It's all the costumes of.
You've got to go in there. You've got to go if you're drawn into these games. You've got to know the nature of the game that you're playing. You've got to know the rules, or you've got to have a fairly good understanding of the rules. Too many people in the car getting shafted. Last summer's so-called riot. So one guy getting 6 months for stealing some fucking Argos catalogues.
Oh Christ!
So what's going to do? Sell them?
Well, I think it was.
Hey, I've got some Argos catalogues for sale. Go on, you can have. It's £2 for one or 3 for £5. You know, and then of course there was that other guy who you know, this is where the kind of seriousness, the controlling aspect comes in. The guy who and this raises all kinds of questions about liberty.
Yeah.
The guy who on Facebook had suggested to his friends that they meet up and go and smash, you know, a window at Curry's or something and grab some of the action. And nothing ever happened. Yeah, that guy got 4 fucking years for planning a riot. You see, as the system begins to implode on itself, they become ever so desperate to try and keep it all going. But once you drop that fear of it, and you see that these guys are actually, as my friend Remy Goss often says, just the next guy. Who is this? Who is this guy that's claiming anything over you? Who is he to come between you and the divine? Who is
exactly? Yeah, it's just this elaborate game that they use to deceive us to think that they have any authority over us whatsoever, just to extract credit. It's just this big elaborate game that's just this wall that's been pulled over our eyes.
It's a monopoly, and some people operating with a different hand,
yeah,
or a bigger pile of money than the others.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's just credit anyway. You see, this brings me up this notion that we have that the system is about to collapse, that the banking system will be coming to an end. Right? I think that's pretty clear to a lot of people. But how many people really thought about what they want in this place? Or what is it that perhaps the powers that be have already got lined up to wheel in?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say what they might have in mind. I mean, I guess I haven't really thought that too far into it. I mean, I've heard out a lot of the conspiracy theorists where they say that they want to bring in a hyper techno utopia and rule with a one world government and a one world religion and all that sort of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, you know, that's fair enough if you want to think that, but
well, it's done so fairly because no one's ever been able to control the planet. And I don't think anybody ever will, because the planet's not, you know, everything, as I said at the start, everyone's having their own unique reality trip. It's not a fucking trip.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things I say to people.
Yeah, but that also brings you out to the question, what is the agenda with some of these bigger players, these bigger systematic thinkers,
Yeah, I guess I haven't really thought that far into it, because I guess even at...
Well, let's look at the zeitgeist movement. Let's apply some critical thinking to the zeitgeist movement.
Okay.
Because it's something that's been significant to me, as I explained earlier. But let's start to question who or what might be behind it. What is the agenda that followed?
Before it,
They're suggesting, like...
Well, really, the idea was...
suggesting as an alternative... All right, okay. What they're suggesting, for instance, are they suggesting any practical alternatives to the current financial system that we have?
Well, the suggestion really is to use technology to serve us instead of hurt us. Because what do we develop technology for in the first place? To make our lives easier. And it has. Technology is just a tool. It brings back to one of the things we discussed earlier, that technology can be used either way. But that doesn't necessarily mean technology itself is inherently bad or good. It's just a tool.
It's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I say to people that a hammer is a piece of technology. It is a tool. It is neither good nor bad, because a hammer can be used to either kill and or destroy, or it can be used to build and or create.
Precisely.
So it's about using that faculty that we have developed, that we call technology, using that to actually create an excess abundance of the necessities of life, and to liberate us from jobs that we won't have to do, because our minds are capable of so much more than the vast majority of jobs that we're already doing. I mean, we are so much more than that.
So many people are living quiet lives of absolute desperation, filled with various addictions. Addictions to love, for instance, addictions to romantic notions of what love is, addictions to states of depression, to ways of thinking that actually lead to those states of depression.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
See, it's all interconnected. It truly is a unified field that we're operating in. And we don't actually really understand the nature of that, which, I mean, you can hear that siren going on in the background now.
Yeah.
That's the reality that those guys are living on. Whoever's behind the wheel, or that cop car, right now, what's he thinking? Well, I like the fact that these people have got blue lights on the cars, because as far as I'm concerned, when I see one of those blue lights flashing up, I understand that's a brother who's got some really heavy shit going on, so all kinds of confusion. But the blue light becomes a symbol of his mental illness. And, a lot of them are operating under varying degrees of mental illness and psychopathy. The whole system is very psychopathic in nature. And anything that's seeking to control any sizable number of people, as far as I'm concerned, you've got to question it. Yeah, this is all spelled out with the Occupy movement recently, and the connections with those who were in the general executive, I think we've been called at the top, who created their own pyramid of power. The guys who were sitting around in Starbucks day after day and then going on in the evening, but in the meantime they're collecting donations from the public, which are going to an account that was created 2 years ago. The guy called, you may have met him, which is commonly known as Don. Just great research into this. There's a few people just put into Google, commonly known as DOM, Occupy Movement, LSX, Savage Institute, and you'll see what is unravelled there in terms of the controllers. These guys are like really working for the state. They've been set up by probably the Soros Foundation, and they've been schooled in various arts. Rhetorical arts, probably, of like gaining consensus in meetings. Now, consensus isn't always a necessarily good thing of itself. This is the illusion of democracy. Why would you live in a system in which 51% can determine what the other 49% have to apply to?
Yeah.
And if we just extrapolate out that what we've talked about today, the deliberate dumbing down of the people,